Give me your pro card or you're not going to Spain. That's what I was told. Let me rewind back the story a little bit here. If I got your attention, good. Well, like I said, some recent posts I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into who I am as a person. Although I'm not going to be sharing my physique in these upcoming videos, I do want to go into a little bit more detail of myself, my bodybuilding career, and my mentality, more importantly. So back in 2018, I came across an opportunity in the sport of natural bodybuilding, and I thought it was interesting. And that was with the IFBB Physique America. And I guess before I get any further, this is not any defamation or anything. This is not slander. These are all facts. We could go back in other videos that I talked about at that time, and this is exactly what I said as well. But there was a contest that was in Texas, and they were offering as the grand prize a trip to Spain to compete at the Arnold Classic for the best male and female. And being pretty much a first-year show, and I thought this was a fantastic opportunity. Nothing like this had ever been offered within the sport before. So I'm like, shit, well, if anyone's going to go, it's going to be me. So needless to say, I competed earlier than I expected that year. I was initially going to compete in September. I ended up competing in early August. And I won the show. Of course, I won the best overall male, mainly because there was not too many guys in the show as it was anyway. And I thought I was going to Spain. I thought I was going to get a free trip to Spain to compete at the Arnold Classic. And my wife was going to be able to go with me. I made a video, much like this one, saying, this is great and all, but, I am still focusing on other shows. Come to find out, Wayne D'Amelia watched that video. He's the president of the IFBB Physique America. And he, I guess, didn't like it, whatever, but said that, well, if I were going to go to Spain to compete at the Arnold Classic as an amateur, I had to relinquish my pro status. So once again, this is someone trying to back me into a corner in order to do what they want me to. And I remember being on the phone with him for like an hour that following Monday. I was in my office at the gym, and I was just like pretty much shaking my head the whole time. Like, this guy is literally not going to convince me to relinquish my pro status, because it was something that I had worked extremely hard to get at that time, right? So if you guys know me, I'm a decade deep into bodybuilding at this time. So at that time, I was about 7 years deep, and I had turned pro in 2015. So just 3 years prior, I had won my pro status, and that was going to be my first full pro season. And I'm like, I'm not about to cough up my pro status to take a trip to Spain. While on the surface, it sounds phenomenal, right? Go to Barcelona for free, take my wife, probably had to pay for her, whatever, but she would at least stay in my hotel room. So it wouldn't be that much money to have her go. Once in a lifetime experience, yes. But here's the thing. The show was not going to be drug tested. They said that it's drug tested, but it's not. You could look at their athletes and understand that they're not drug tested. And I talked to guys who had competed in that organization before as well, internationally, and they said, hey dude, it is not drug tested. Just know what you're getting into. So I declined a free trip to Spain to keep my pro status. Could I have coughed up my pro status for a brief period of time and then regained it? Sure. But they were going to make me sign a contract. What that was going to be, I don't know, because I didn't even get there. I didn't even want to see it, because I knew right away I wasn't about to cough up my pro status for literally one show that was going to be untested. And yes, it would have been cool to say, hey, I competed in Spain. But then that year I went on to do 3 other pro shows and placed fairly well in all of them. Finished 5th at the IPE World Championships, placed 4th in my class at the Yorton in the tall class. So I was extremely proud that year. And then flash forward, all right, so now we were in 2021, 3 years later after that incident. What comes up at the beginning of 2021 is this great opportunity with Mr. America. And I applied right away when they put out this open casting call. I believe it was February of 2021, let's call it, maybe January. And they said, anybody that's a pro athlete essentially, and amateur, but obviously they're looking for pros, can apply to be on this TV show. And I applied right away, put together a video, much like this. Obviously some footage of me working in the gym as well, but just talking. And then of course I was selected, right? And now I didn't know I was going to be selected, but I thought I had a good chance. So if I were to have relinquished my pro status, very short-sighted for one show to compete internationally, I might not have been able to, make it to this filming for Mr. America. And obviously you guys know I'm still doing Mr. America, and that's going to be another video on why I chose to continue. But for this single event, if I were to have coughed up my pro status back then, yes, I could have potentially re-earned it a couple years later if they would have signed, said, hey, 2 years you can't compete or whatever in another organization, or even a year. I could have re-earned it eventually, but it's the concept to me of forcing me to do something that I don't want to do. And here's the thing, the last thing, is that the next year, same organization, right, pro athletes like myself entered a similar contest, and the grand prize once again was to go and compete at the Arnold Classic. They're pros, mind you, in different organizations, and they selected them, and then they were fine with them going overseas and competing. So I think they tried to make an example of me personally, and it just didn't happen. So that just goes to show you, you got to stick to your guns and just do what you think is right. And I'm glad I wasn't short-sighted and took, a free trip to Spain. Yes, it would have been cool. I've really never been out of the United States, honestly. I've only been to Hawaii, still in the United States. That's as farthest as I've gone from Indiana. But I'm sure that, in the future, if I feel like, going to Spain, I can, if I want to. But yeah, it's just, I would have really been kicking myself in the butt now if I wasn't a pro athlete, if I relinquished all pro status and I wasn't able to do this Mr. America, because the Arnold Classic in Spain is, in my opinion, not in comparison to what this Mr. America event is doing, especially to be on national television. Not only the Mr. America event itself, but also this Gym, Eat, Repeat television show that I'm going to be on. Just another once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but that's something that I'll literally be able to have and be able to rewatch for the rest of my life. And that Arnold Classic, like I said, would have been cool, but just not something that I was interested in at the time. And I'm just really happy that I stuck to my guns and didn't cough up my pro status just because somebody said that I had to. So hopefully, you guys can relate to this a little bit. Just understand where I'm coming from a mental standpoint, and that's just a little bit more to know about me. Once again, not necessarily a physique related video, but I do want to kind of talk through some of my thought processes over the years and how they have gotten me to where I am today. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Be on the lookout for more coming soon.